It's a great honor to be here, Mr. President, Board of Trustees, family, students, parents, friends, Emeriti, graduates. In 1978, I was in medical school. Bastyr was just getting started. Had I known about Bastyr, I would have perhaps been saved 30 years of trying to cobble together my own understanding of natural healing practices. Instead, I had to go on a 30-year journey through the military to study in Germany, in Asia, and a number of other places to try to put together what practices are useful, what practices are not useful, what can I integrate into my very conventional MD training. It's really an honor and a pleasure to be here, to be able to talk at your 28th commencement. In 1978, Bastyr was started for the purpose of teaching the concepts, the principles, and the practices of natural health care. It seems, for some of you that think that the military and natural health care are strange bedfellows, I found out last night, actually, from one of your alumni and founders, that the first government organization to provide scholarships and pay for loans to come to Bastyr was the Veterans Administration. So, strange bedfellows perhaps, but not strangers. I was going to give a talk about healthcare reform and the essential role of integrative medicine and natural health care in that process. However, yesterday's Washington Post actually solved the whole thing. President Obama has decided to use the homeopathic approach to healthcare reform. This is a verbatim quote out of the Washington Post yesterday. Obama is approaching this healthcare reform as a homeopathic course of treatment, said Ross Baker, president and scholar of Bastyr University. He injects people with a subtoxic dose of pain to let them know they're going to have to give up something. But it won't really make them sick. 30 years ago, however, natural healing and holistic concepts were relegated to the periphery of the great scientific movement of Western medicine that dominates the world. That system, called biomedicine, has now been adopted and is spread and is a very powerful system. And yet through that, Bastyr held on and built upon the concepts of natural healing, no matter how peripheral the mainstream community tried to make them. Today those concepts are emerging, in my opinion, to find themselves not only at the heart of how health is created, but are also forming the basis for how we can reform our mainstream system to bring healing back into healthcare. William James, founder of modern psychology, was one of the most brilliant scientific thinkers of the last century. As professor of psychology at Harvard University, he continuously showed both the curiosity and the courage to evaluate new and emerging concepts and to discern their importance. One of my favorite quotes, now over 100 years old, by William James goes like this: "Round about the accredited and orderly facts of every science, there ever floats a sort of dust cloud of exceptional observations, of occurrences minute and irregular that are seldom met with, which it always proves more easy to ignore than to attend to. Anyone will renovate his science, will steadily look after the irregular phenomena, and when the science is renewed, its new formulas often have more of the voice of the exceptions in them than of what were supposed to be rules." The inherent healing capacity of the whole person and the healing power of nature sits at the heart of your school's education and professions that it produces. To biomedicine, these concepts have remained in Dr. James's dust cloud. And from that periphery, they are now poised to emerge and sow the seeds of true healthcare transformation. Is it possible that they may become the new rules? A year ago, it looked as if any real healthcare transformation or healthcare reform was unlikely, despite our costly and crumbling system. How things change. Healthcare reform has now become front and center and is a central tenet of the current administration. 2 weeks ago in his radio address, President Obama said the following: Simply put, the status quo is broken. We cannot continue this way. If we do nothing, everyone's health care will be put in jeopardy. Within a decade, we'll spend $1 out of every 5 we earn on health care, and we'll keep getting less for our money. That's why fixing what's wrong with our healthcare system is no longer a luxury we can hope to achieve. It is a necessity we cannot postpone any longer. That's pretty transformational language in my opinion, isn't it? So, is that happening? So far, the parameters of healthcare reform discussions revolve around insurance coverage and access to our current system, but not transformation. However, there are some C's there. There's also an increased emphasis on prevention, even if it's defined primarily as disease detection, more primary care, improvement in health information technology, comparative effectiveness research, and increased efficiencies in delivery of medical treatment. As exciting as the opportunity is, and as notable as these efforts are, they will not be able to accomplish the central goal of healthcare reform, which is the creation of health. And that's because the core requirements for creating health are largely absent from the discussion. They've been left on the periphery, out in Dr. James's desk. Healthcare reform is currently medical treatment system reform. A system does not deliver health, of a system that does not deliver health at its cost. In fact, the facts are well known. Nobody debates these facts anymore. In the United States, we pay almost twice as much for health care as any other country. And yet, by almost all indices, we lag far behind in health. Our system is not producing health compared to other countries who spend significantly less. Thus, it's not a health system. We also don't have an effective care system. So we had to invent something called patient-centered medical care, as if there could really be any other kind. Do you know of any other kind? Recently, these concepts have moved into the mainstream in the form of the patient-centered medical home, which is endorsed by all the primary care physician organizations. Let me read to you the characteristics of a patient-centered medical home. You might recognize some of these. Number 1 is a personal physician. Each patient has an ongoing relationship with their physician. Number 2, physician-directed medical practice, which means the physician leads a team that delivers the care. Whole person orientation. Yes, that's actually an emphasis. The personal physician is responsible for providing holistic care that meets all the needs. Care is coordinated and integrated, because that's the term that's used, across the complex healthcare system. Quality and safety are hallmarks, being a patient advocate and a family advocate, allowing the patients and the families to participate, evidence-based medicine, accountability and quality assurance, information technology, and recognition. Enhanced access to care. And the 7th one, payment appropriately recognizes this added value.